Hello, friends and fellow gamers. I am That Zero, and today we are back and we are playing Doctor with another sorry soul. We have Rod, also known as RoddimisPrime. So we are here. I have not taken a look at your account as per my usual mentality with this stuff. So go ahead and say hi, Rod.
Hey everybody, how you doing?
Yeah, good stuff. So, I don't remember the little bit of information that you gave me, so bring me up to speed with some context for your account. So, maybe something that you're struggling with that you would like to focus on specifically, or questions, things like that. Where you are, end
Okay,
game, early game, blah, 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 blah.
gotcha. So just to give you some context as well too, this is actually my second account. I did start playing LC when it first came out, and we all kind of know the issues and stuff like that that happened. And to be honest with you, I was doing stuff on BlueStacks and trying to, or I got a new phone and I forgot to save my friend code, so I lost my first account. And it is what it is, but I
Sad.
decided to take a break, and then I came back when the anniversary started, and kind of got back into things, especially with all the qualities of life and things that they added. So it's a totally different game since the beginning when it
Oh, yeah.
started.
Yeah, it's so much
So,
better. It is in such a
so
good state by comparison.
absolutely, it's in a much better state. So I have a whole lot more enjoyment with this account versus, if I had my original account, I was stressed out because the beginning of the game was kind of rough, but
Yeah.
I'm glad where we are now. So with that context, I at least kind of know the ins and outs of a lot of the systems and stuff that's going on. But the game, as far as like, I guess like the meta has changed since I
Mm-hmm.
was playing. And looking at a lot of different content creators, especially you, being able to kind of help me as far as like understanding that physical DPS is, very strong. So my pretty much what I'm coming to you for help is like looking at the damage dealers that I built so far, like what am I missing? Because again, I was kind of still used to the old meta where, hey, mages were pretty
Mm-hmm.
much, running rampant. And now it's not really rampant. And then I have great units like Sage Zekis. So it's kind of like, how do I build them? What do I do with
Sure.
these mage characters? I mean, do I build them as physical DPS? And then,
Okay.
what things should I be looking at? Um, and then also with the new with the new collab, I pulled both of those units, so it's kind of like, hey, how do I kind of go from there? So it's just like I just wanted my to kind of wrap things up. My context is I just want to see if I'm on the right path, and if there's some improvements that I can make, I'm willing to do that just to kind of continue my normal, auto farm, my normal farming and stuff like that. But I just want to make sure that I'm just on the right path versus building trash units. That's what I
So,
say.
cool. Sounds great. So where are you? I'm assuming, judging by just this home screen, I'm guessing you're through all the campaign stuff. Is that fair to say? Like all the difficulties, or are you still working through some God mode stuff? Or
I'm working through God mode
okay,
currently right now.
otherwise normal and hard, all the way up through completion.
Yes.
Sweet. Okay, cool. I assumed just looking at like, you know, 50 million Zell. Looks like he got probably all the soul spots, or pretty reasonably. Um, yeah. So I figured you were probably doing pretty good on that. So
Right.
nice. All right. Well, I guess let's go ahead and take a peek at what your unit roster looks like, because I am always curious. All right. I mean, V, you love to see it. You said you started during the Annie with this account, or did you start with, or did you mean like the first Annie from last year?
So I actually started. Let me correct myself. I think I started right before Devil May Cry.
Okay.
So is that before the second Annie, or I think
Um,
so?
the second Annie came. I think that was actually after Doctor Stone. So it was like right after the first anniversary came through.
Right. So I started like right when everybody was saying they were getting the collab with Devil May Cry. And it was
Cool.
also a great time to come in because you get the limited gacha and you also get re-rolls, when you started. So I was like, okay, I'll jump
Nice.
back in. And then, Dr. Stone kind of came back. So because I did play on my first account with the first Dr. Stone, didn't get anything. So
Awesome.
no, that goes. So.
Cool. Okay. Well, V, you'd love to see it. Gen, also great. I mean, you got. I mean, it's a solid account. You have pretty much all the things that you could possibly need for stuff. You might not have everything, but you have important stuff. I mean, Kyle, you pulled Roy and Ed. That's pretty beautiful. Theria, Zekis. Ray for fighting Kraken. Um, yeah, I mean, in general, look pretty good. Rest of this stuff, yeah, they're all pretty blah. No love for Al, huh?
Uh, I was gonna level him until I, off of one of the tickets I pulled Edward, excuse me, and I was
Yeah,
like, oh, sorry.
yeah, understandable, understandable. Yeah, pretty low priority on the totem pole,
Yeah,
unfortunately
yeah.
for Al. Okay, cool. Well, I mean, I don't really have any comments as far as like holes in your roster, so I mean that's looking solid. I feel like you can tackle pretty much any challenge in the game with some combination of these things, which is awesome. Did you want to look at, or were you curious about anyone in particular? I know you mentioned mages such as Zekis, maybe, and ways to build them. Do you want me to take a peek and see what we can find for him right
Yeah,
away?
sure. Yeah,
All
because
right.
I like him as a character. So I would love to kind of use as many characters as I can, and knowing that mages are kind of in the state that they are, so I know
Yeah.
they need to switch to a particular playstyle. Plus, skill damage is much more important than other type of damage. So
Yeah. So do you know why magic is so bad now, for the most part?
no, I don't.
Okay, so the main thing is back in the day when it ruled the roost, when you were first playing, the main thing was that like all the high damage spells were time stop. So you could go in with Lily and just time stop a Shining Zonk and just like have instant 100% cast speed and just lock the game until all the enemies are dead. But they
Right.
removed time stop, so time stop doesn't exist. So instead of having time stop, waiting 5 or 6 seconds for an animation to play, and then dealing damage and then going into the next time stop, you have that long ass animation before you get the payoff of the damage, which means it's way less effective than what it used to be. So in that amount of time, a physical DPS probably could have just killed everything instead of you being vulnerable to damage. So that's kind of the main reason. Now, you can still play mages. There's just very few of them that are viable. And I unfortunately don't have Zekis, so I can't speak a ton to him other than what I have heard. And I have heard if you are going to still play a spellcaster that is going to actually be using magic for damage, he is the best one in the game. And he is viable, and the main reason, like the only people that are generally viable are ones that have unique magic. So the fact that he has his own unique skills is to his benefit. So Crimson Flare, probably not so much. But, oh, it looks like he's probably not even leveled up, right? Like you
No,
probably
he's
still
not
have his
really
board.
leveled
Okay,
up. Yeah, because I was still
I
kind
see.
of
Fair
again,
enough.
kind of confused as far as like
Yeah,
how
yeah, yeah.
how he needs to be built. So
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so things like he's got absolute zero. So this, as opposed to a bunch of other, ice magic, this I'm guessing has a quicker animation and probably just has really good damage scaling. So if you're going against things weak to ice, it's actually good. And what are some of his other ones? I know he has an earth one. Yeah, this is the earth one. So again, I've been told that his spells in general pretty solid. So I can only assume they have quicker animations as well. So they work. Other people that are viable casters are Rabala, because she's just ridiculously powerful and she inherently can reduce earth elements quite a bit. And then also she has a spell called Nether Tempest, which the only other unit that has it is Shift Lilibet, and it has just a really high scaling and a lot of hits, so it works. Also, De Grog and Luxeus have Black Hole, which does pretty good damage and has a relatively short cast time, and it can also be used to group enemies so that physical damage dealers can do damage if magic does not work. The other unit that's viable is Lagrabos. And that's just because, again, unique magic. He has the only neutral damage magic spell in the game, which is Oblivion. And so it does a single hit of damage, but it can't be resisted by anyone. So it does have a long animation like everything else, but it can't be resisted by any of their element resists. And one of the reasons that physical damage dealers are so sought after is because they can either deal neutral damage or they can have Trishula, just like back in the day. So you can get around people resisting you elemental wise, but as a mage, you kind of need some way to like reduce the elemental resistances, and I think that Zekis does that inherently a little bit with some of his stuff. But Lagrabos can do it because Oblivion is neutral damage anyway. Physical damage dealers, they have ways to get around it. So that's another reason that Magic has kind of fallen off, is there's not too many that can get around elemental resistances, which just kind of makes your damage trash for how long it takes to animate. So, in general, the best mages can also be used as physical damage dealers, which is what you were, kind of alluding to. So I do think that he could be built as a mage, because I've at least been told that he can be a very viable mage, but most people run him as physical DPS. Now, you do need something specific to make him a top-tier DPS, like to be able to always hit his damage cap, and that is Science Flag. Did you get so fortunate enough to get the Light of Science arc from the Dr. Stone event?
Unfortunately, I did not.
Yeah, most people did not, and that's fine. So you will have to just use whatever the best stuff is that you got. Heaven's Cry is pretty great, because I think he has some passive that lets all of his magic crit. So that's good. Oh, you got his as well, so his works. If you are opting to run against fire things, you got the fire staff too. So I mean, you're looking pretty good on staff options. Worst case, they're stat sticks, with Dimensional 1 probably being the best one. So yeah, you're looking pretty good. Yeah, because he has Thaumaturgy Ring Plus. And you basically, to elevate his physical damage, you'll want to be building into his int, because he scales off of his int anyway. And Thaumaturgy Ring leeches from his int on top of that to go into his physical damage as well. So he comes with Thaumaturgy Ring Plus. I don't believe he comes with regular Thaumaturgy Ring, but on this UR, you have it. So you'll want to teach him Thaumaturgy Ring if he doesn't have it already. Which, since you haven't really built him, I assume that he doesn't have things taught to him. So, yeah. Which is fine. So, yeah, he will want dual wield. Basically, you probably build him just like any physical DPS, which is dual wield, give him some things that'll boost your int, such as the staff that you got him on now, or his own staff. You can probably, on an offhand, have something like one of the Godforge weapons, just because they're really good, even though he, I believe, scales mostly off of int. You could get something like the Pure Blade. Have you done any of the Godforge stuff yet?
I actually crafted one Godforge weapon, because I think it's neutral damage, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think all the Godforge ones, for the most part, except for the Fire UR, I believe they're all neutral damage.
Okay.
So
now, a second question on top of that.
Yeah.
With all the Godforge weapons, are they pretty much on the same level as Trishula, or Trishula is still
as
like...
as Trishula? I don't know if I would say that, just because Trishula lets you cheat mechanics in the game. So I think Trishula is still probably the most important thing in the game. But if you compare it to pretty much anything else, including rewards you get from endgame bosses, I think the Godforge stuff is cream of the crop. It is above everything else. So, let's see here. So he can already equip swords, so that's cool. So let's go ahead and see what kind of stuff you actually have sword-wise. Because
the reason I was asking is because
Pure Blade, dope.
I know pretty much everybody is like swapping Trishula, to different characters or different DPS units and stuff like that. But sometimes I'm kind of like, oh, okay, well I have Trishula on my Ray, and I want my Kyle to dual wield his sword plus another neutral. So it's kind of like, which one needs to hold Trishula or something of that nature?
Yeah, so some of it just comes down to what fights you're in. Like, usually, if you have a big enough roster like what you do, I would say it's probably usually viable to bring at least one unit that is strong against something that your boss is weak against. So, for instance, the Ant boss that's up right now, you could use a fire damage dealer, such as Kyle, and you don't need Trishula on him, because he's actually doing extra damage, and he's better off without Trishula. Because Trishula is a liability at that point. If they're not resisting you, Trishula is a net loss on damage. Like, you don't want to run Trishula unless they would be resisting your attacks.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah,
so in the boss, like, for instance, just to make sure I'm understanding, if I was going into the Ant boss with like Ray, and they have thunder resistance, then I would run Trishula in order for them to
exactly.
Resistance.
So you would do that, but another option you can do is, I don't know what its resist is, but if its resistance is, say, like 20, for example, to lightning, which would be Ray, you could just spend 3 SC and maybe put the spell weak on him. because that's going to knock 20 or 25%, I think it's 25% off of all of their resistances, thus making them negative. Even if it's about 35 percent, you just bring it down to like 10, that's not going to be reducing your damage too much. You might still be able to be hitting caps with him. So just knowing the resistances on the bosses is really good. And my general rule is like, if you can't get things below like 20 or 30, it's going to start hurting your damage, and you want to be using Trishula. But what I started doing with my Roy, for example, is I was running Trishula, but I want to be matching elements because Goddess Kiss is so important for getting MP back. So I want to be running my Godforged Sword, and then I also run that Fireball Staff that we were looking at. So it's a problem when if I'm going against an enemy that has, say, 40 or 50 resist, it really, really sucks. So I would put on Trishula, but then half of my attacks wouldn't have my fire multipliers. They would be light element because Trishula is light. And also Trishula only affects your skills, not all physical damage, which means, you know, if they're resisting your fire stuff, they're still going to be resisting your regular attacks. So Goddess Kiss just gets really, really hit hard when you have to run Trishula. So instead what I did is I'm now running, I spent 9 SC, so I'm running Weak for 25 minus to all of the resistances, and then Earth Circle down, which drops by another 20. So I can take 45 off of anybody's fire resistances, getting them closer to Weak, thus giving him all of his other passives and stuff. And for the most part, especially in multiplayer, that's plenty to drop them way into the negative. So it just makes your regular attacks be much more effective. So in general, it's a good thing to search for. For Zekis, because he's multi-element, I don't think that he necessarily has a bunch of bonuses to different types of specific elemental damage. So it's probably not as important. So I feel like he probably doesn't rely on Goddess Kiss as much as other units does. Just because he has his passive that lets him get MP refilled for sacrificing his health, so he has a source of doing that already. And then he just does mostly skill damage, I believe. So running Trishula probably is still going to be necessary on him anytime people are resisting his attacks. So again, just be aware of what the resistances are, and if you can get away with not running Trishula, run something that'll be better. But unfortunately, it's just necessary in the game when they're going to be slicing your damage in half, or worse sometimes. So okay. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
All right. Sorry, kind of a long roundabout way to go about that, but...
Oh, no, I mean, unless you explained it, I would not have known that, so that's actually very good information.
Sweet. Yeah, I'd probably run something like his staff, maybe, so that you can have some of the other passives, because I know this helps with support magic consumption. Giving him a little utility, especially if you want to run him in like multiplayer or something, probably isn't a bad idea. So you can be running things like Weak, or maybe some circles, like, you know, maybe it doesn't. Nah, I'm distracting myself. You can put some support magic on him, and this is a stat stick. So for physical damage, this with an offhand of Pure Blade, probably pretty solid. So this flat 20% is just huge and undeniably awesome. So yeah, anybody for physical damage, I generally put the Pure Blade on them. And the other thing it'll do, instead of running double staffs, is it allows you to use the high boosts. So you can then go and equip like Sword High Boost, which I think you already taught him. You have at least Sword Boost. So you can teach him Sword High Boost, and then you can put both of them on him for an extra 40% physical damage on top of whatever else you have going on. So that's something that you can do. Other things to be able to help with dealing damage. How familiar are you with just like amplifying your physical damage? Do you feel pretty confident with the general tools for that, for physical damage dealers?
So I'm gonna say I'm half and half. I mean, I do know that physical damage dealers, unless they're already in their skill tree, they have to have dual wields, special boost, and pretty much all the attacks, crits, you know, that type of stuff. But if I'm missing something, then
sure. Okay. Yeah, I mean, in general, yeah, absolutely. The other thing is, in general, stats don't matter nearly as much as multipliers, so you always want to look and see what multipliers you have on your account. So, for example, like I said, Thaumaturgy Ring, get that taught to Zekis. Anybody with high int but wants to do physical damage, Thaumaturgy Ring probably pretty solid. How many points did it take? 12, so it's pretty expensive, but it's probably worth the damage. I would say you could test and just see who it works on, if it's seeming like it elevates damage more than others. Roy maybe could use Thaumaturgy Ring, just because he's one of those. He's a physical DPS that just has really high int, so could be really good on him. Let's go back. Any light damage dealers want things. So you always want to look for weapon boosts, and then also things like these high drives, which are just not very common. But like Alice would want light high drive if you were trying to maximize her damage, or Roland, or whoever else is light that I can't think of right now. So these are absolutely huge. I would say things like the attack raises or attack raise 2, I don't like, because they're just strictly worse than drives, and I think you can probably get more bang for your buck elsewhere. But if you have points and the availability to put them on a unit, they're not bad. They're better than pumping stats, probably.
Okay. So sometimes it's probably better to have the high drives versus having like attack 2, attack 3, or attack
100%.
4. Like,
yeah, absolutely. It's going to do more. And the main reason for that, like, that's kind of the thing that I've seen in general as well from people who used to play versus coming back into the game. Just because before, jacking your stats up was one of the only ways to get big damage, because we only had a couple of ways to actually elevate our damage, and that might have been like a sword high boost or sharp eyes. But these days, we can throw like 5 or 6 different multipliers onto our units and just amplify our damage, and stats on new units are also just generally higher than they used to be. So you almost never have to touch your stats to be able to hit the ludicrous damage caps that we have now. You just have to stack enough of those multipliers.
Okay, so I could probably save some SC by saying, for instance, just having attack 4 and then having all the multiplier skills on there versus having all the attacks or all the crits.
Yeah, and I mean, I would even say, like, if you're only going to have one attack, I wouldn't do attack 4 specifically, okay, just because attack 4 is the least efficient of all of them. Okay. So just to take a quick look here, just so that I can kind of explain.
So, yeah, you can probably look at Kyle. I think I probably use him the most.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so you have... Oh, it doesn't have attack up 4, but... so we have... This costs 6 SC, gives us 15. Now... I believe attack up 4 gives us 12, and it costs 5. Know what else costs 5? Attack up 2 and 3, which gives you 13. So it gives you 1 more % to just run both of these instead. So, yeah, you just run both of them. It's literally the same thing for a little bit of extra damage. So if you have room, yes, you can totally put them on there. Otherwise, in most cases, I would say this is what, 11 damage? Or 11 SC? Yeah, 11 SC. No, 12. 12 SC? Yeah, 12. I can math. So, depending on what you actually have on Kyle here. Oh, he already comes with Fire High Drive, so that's out. Let's see what kind of crap you got on him right now. Running Sharp Eyes, running some different things. Well, we'll have to take a look and see what kind of stuff he doesn't have. He's kind of a house, so he's got a bunch of crap on him already, so you don't really need a ton, which is nice. Oh, that can make room for, special boost. One of the things you want to teach all your physical DPS is special boost from the Moonlit Murder Arc. It's the one that says increase your Slayer abilities by 50%. And then you'll want to just get all the Slayers taught to all of your DPS units, so that whatever you're fighting, you can turn it on. It is always, always worth to spend the 15 SC to get the matching Slayer, as well as special boost. It's a literal 100% increase multiplier.
Okay.
Total. So it is, for 15, there is nothing else in the game that will give you that amount of damage. So, yeah, definitely recommend going through and teaching those to everybody, which is awesome. And then units like Kyle that have things like Divinity Slayer just means, you know, it's easier to cover those without spending any points. But dropping all of these is a closer way to be able to do that. I mean, attack up 6, that's special boost right there. And then if you don't have the Slayer and Divinity Slayer, these can get knocked out to go get other things. Also in PvE, I generally don't ever spend points on crit stuff. This is another thing that used to be super good in the past because it was so hard for us to hit damage caps, so crit was really, really important. But if we're stacking enough of our multipliers, our non-crits should be capping for damage, at which case crits are completely irrelevant. So elevating the damage of crits doesn't matter so much. So that's another 4 points that could just get knocked out. So you could take that away along with these, and now you're looking at that extra 10 SC, which is more than enough to put a Slayer on, if you need it. So that shift by itself give you an extra, basically 100% damage. Be really, really solid, actually. So that's a sizable change that could be made for Kyle specifically. Let's keep looking at some of... Oh, did I actually change? Yeah, I'll not confirm, whatever that is. I don't want to jack with all your builds.
Oh, no, it's fine.
All right. So where was I? Oh, okay. I'm just going to go through and see some of the different things that you have here. So machine boosts, good one to just teach to anybody that might want Trishula. So if you have 4 extra points, the 4 points on machine boost, or any weapon boost really, is going to be better than the stats you can just throw on strength. It's just going to be more of an effect, because anything that gives you a percentage up is just simply going to be better than the equivalent in stats.
Now, for you, I know you just left that arc.
Yeah.
To ask, I know that when I pulled that, it was great, but at the same time, everybody said that Winry's apple pie is better than honey elixir. Who is like the characters that would have Winry's apple pie, like a support or healer?
So it depends what you're trying to do. Yeah, it really just depends what type of unit it is. So one, I will say it's not better than honey elixir. It is slightly... It's very good like honey elixir, but I do not think it's better because honey elixir has time stop, which means it stops all the action and makes sure that the effect happens. And also it is instant cast. This requires you to have max healing cast speed, which is a 70% cast speed. Otherwise, you need to wait to actually cast it. So this is a downgrade from honey elixir, but it's still amazing to have. Like, it's...
Okay.
People are not wrong when, you should be very excited to have it on your account. I threw everything trying to get it. I could not. Many people did not. It's amazing.
Right.
The main people that want it is, one, you could throw it on, say, a unit that you're going to be running in multiplayer, if you just want them to be able to carry, potentially, so that they can self-sustain. And then you can throw it on somebody that's really good with Goddess Kiss to be able to get all of their MP back, so that you can get full stocks, dump everything, do some regular attacks, and then use it again to get full stocks again. And then just go through all of your abilities. So you don't have to wait for any cooldowns to actually naturally recharge. So units that would like things like that would be... I assume probably Zekis would like it, Kyle, pretty much anybody that doesn't have a way of cheesing their own MP, Lukiel. Roy and Ed, funny enough, are some of the main units that don't care at all, just because they kind of have the similar effect baked in by just burning through MP. Roland could use it, not that I recommend building Roland compared to all your other stuff. Ray even could potentially use it. But again, it only works well on the unit itself if you can also build for Goddess Kiss to work. Another way that people will use it is they will put it on, say, 2 or 3 different support units. Like, say you wanted to go in and have Kyle do the Pablo fight, because he's very, very strong there. You could have it on both Gen and Theria, and you could alternate on them where you go and use it on Theria, get him all his stocks, do some damage, have your auto advanced magic circles going on to get things replenished. Once he starts getting down, she's getting MP up, uses all his skills, then you go and use it on Gen. He gets full stocks again, you can burn through all of your stuff again, and go through all your abilities, regenerate some more MP, burn it again, and just kind of keep that cycle try to go. So teaching it to your support units, absolutely a good idea, especially Theria and Gen, since they're probably the main people you're going to be using as supports. Tink probably doesn't matter so much anymore. She was really good. She had her time, but Gen and Theria are just so much better. Also,
she was my first support. So
yeah, mine as well. She's the reason I beat Tower for the first time. She's great. But she's fallen down from grace just a little bit. Like, she's viable, but why use her when you have the other two? Another person that could use Winry's Apple Pie really well is V, just because he has really, really good ways of getting his MP back. His auto attacks are just bonkers, so he abuses Goddess Kiss really well. So he could go and use it on somebody and then just get his MP back really quick, and he could probably just solo engine fuel somebody with Winry's Apple Pie to keep your DPS going. So could potentially run him and then just have your other support be an actual dedicated support for survivability and debuffs and things like that. So yeah, for support characters, those are the three that I'd teach it to. And then anybody else that can't cheese their MP or cheese their cooldowns is really good too. Like Logia doesn't care because Logia can get his stuff back with Paranoia. Alice doesn't care because she can just use Ether Release or whatever it's called, and she can get all her stocks back. She basically has the effect built into her kit, right? So yeah, anybody without that benefits from it. So it's up to you how you actually want to put it in. Oh, Merity too. Merity's super sick with it. Yeah, in fact, I recommend building up Merity if you didn't have any plans to do it, because she is the best breaker in the game, and if you have something like Winry's Apple Pie, she's somebody really good at abusing it too, so you can just force breaks to happen constantly. And she can get her MP back really well too, because she is a neutral damage dealer, so she could just run 2 of the Godforge gears, like the Pure Blade, and then you could make Gorm's Shimmering Hammer, or whatever it's called, which is probably her best in slot. And you can just run both of those, and yeah, she'll get Goddess Kiss to work really, really well, so Winry's Apple Pie, really solid on her.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, definitely recommend that. Okay, cool. So, back over to arcs. Let's see here. You got Main's Lovely. That's great. It hurts my soul whenever I see people's accounts and they just forgot to get that while the event was here. So that's huge. One thing that is worth noting is if you're not running Maiden's Lovely Banquet, you're going to need to use Recast if you want instant speed cast on Winry's Apple Pie, because you do have to hit that 70% cast speed. So you're going to need Radstone for 20, and then 9 SC for high-level magic chant, and then 2 SC for recast to cast that on yourself. Or you have to run Maiden's Lovely Banquet. So you either have to sit and wait for you to cast stuff, or sacrifice some SC and accessory slots to make it instantaneous. So that's up to you how you want to balance your builds, but just be aware, if it seems really slow and clunky, that's why. Is you need to try to hit that magic 70% or close to it as you can to make it less painful to cast. Because if you don't, I'm guessing your unit's probably going to be taken out of commission for like a solid 5 or more seconds until you get that effect to happen. And they can go ham, but yeah, just a good thing to note. If you need to loop through it a lot, it's probably worth splurging a little bit of your resources to be able to make that cast quicker.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, so again, just having access to things like Dark High Drive, good on any dark unit. I don't know if you necessarily have anybody that needs it, but it being on your account, pretty great. Oh, here's a good general one, Berserker. It hurts you pretty bad, so just be aware there's a risk-reward thing to it, but for 8, it's just a flat 30% increase to your physical damage. So in like Arena, it's really huge for just elevating that damage. You want to stack as many things as you can, and Berserker is one of them, where it's worth the HP decrease just to get all that extra damage. So if you're struggling to hit damage cap, probably worth putting it on there, and then just have somebody like Gen with Glass Records or Theria to be able to keep your units healed up so that they don't really care about the actual damage that they're taking. So yeah, Berserker, good one to throw on if you're just looking to boost some damage, if you're not hitting hard enough. Hammer boost. Giant killing, if you just happen to need something. I don't think this is that great, just because for 9, only getting 20%. Usually at 9, you're getting 30 in most cases, but it's still just an extra one. If you have 9 points sitting around, again, this is better than spending 9 points on stats. Unless it's survivability, but if you're like trying to get damage out of it, 9 points into strength isn't going to equate to this. So you may as well just run this if you have nothing better to put on. So, okay. Yep. Yeah, like I said, any weapon boosts are great, so I'm not going to go through all of those. Looks like you have access to... It looks like you have pretty much everything in the general pool, or at least most of it. So, like, you're looking pretty solid on that front, which is great. What's this at? In case you didn't know, when you're doing your auto farming, this is Worth is probably best in slot on Ed's offhand. This with Trish, pretty baller. So, if you didn't know, now you know.
Oh, I really didn't know. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
So there you go. Final oath. Really good. So it's good for two reasons. One, you basically get free Earth Attack Raise that stacks with Earth Attack Raise for that 20% damage. Gives him some defense, which he already likes defense because he's built pretty... He's kind of more bruisery than what Roy is. And the most important bit is its Earth element, which means all those Earth physical damage ups that he has contributes into this. So his Goddess Kiss works even better. So, super duper nice.
Oh, didn't even know that's on the list now.
Yeah. Very, very good for him. Let's see here. What else do we got? Do you do much for Arena or not really?
I haven't, but I need
Okay.
to start doing it. Just, for the rewards and stuff like that, to maximize.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Rewards.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into it too much then. Yeah, there's probably plenty of either videos or, Reddit posts and things that kind of have some basic things on it.
Yeah, I would say from a PvE standpoint,
Yeah.
I am getting, again, I crafted one of the Godforge weapons, so I'm literally trying to do Godforge bosses as best as possible. Or, people carry me in multiplayer, so. But I have not cleared Tower in order to get the Tower Arc, and...
Oh, okay.
And I haven't gotten the, I guess, like the free... UR, these are the SSR or UR arc that's in the story, so I haven't gotten that quite
Okay,
yet, so
yeah. I actually
kinda
have
like
not
my
either.
milestone.
Nice.
Yeah, so those are my milestones. That definitely Tower. I have not cleared Tower yet. So
Have you not cleared it just because you haven't tried in a while, or have you and you just weren't able to get through some of the fights?
I would say I haven't been able to get past some of the fights. Like,
Okay.
regardless of the unit pool that I have, I would say I've gotten to at least like floor 40 or 50. Right
Okay.
in that area.
Okay. Do you remember what the fight was you struggled with most? Like where your big roadblock was?
So I would say the struggle that I've had, I can't remember specifically the particular thing, but it would be like some bosses or some enemies would require damage to them. Like they would only take damage if I do a special to them. So
Oh, yeah. Okay. So the
Yeah,
physical... Yeah, there's like
Right.
5 or 10 floors where they're basically physical immune. So the main way around that is you found special damage. That totally works. Another way is magic damage and matching elements. So one thing is Lagrabo shits all over those floors. Because you could use somebody like Zekis, which probably is a decent idea, and just have one of every elemental magic available to you. And then when there's like a fire elemental that's immune, you have to do an ice attack, and then it'll kill all the fire elementals. And then you have to do a different one. So having a rainbow mage with a lot of variety is kind of the main mechanic of how to get through it, or cheesing special abilities. Lagrabos, because it's neutral, he can use his Oblivion one time and it just wipes all of the colors because they're not resistant to neutral. So he just plows through those floors. It's hilarious.
Okay. I didn't know that. I was sitting there
Yeah.
just like I was just hitting him, and then all
Yeah.
of a sudden waiting for the bar to fill up in order for me to do it.
Yeah. Now, something else you can do, which is what I did going through my first few times because I had no mages that were worthwhile, so I never did it, is you can use insta-kill tech to get through them. And V is one of the best units to do it for. So you can stack up ways to insta-kill enemies. So he already comes with Death God. Assuming you haven't built, Death God. So this gives you like a 2 or 3% chance, I think. Maybe it's even only 1. I don't know. But you get a percentage chance that your regular attacks can just instantly kill enemies. So even though they're physical immune, if that procs, they just die and are off the board, and then you're attacking the next person. So you can do Death God, and then I hope you got the things for it. Cool. Hawkeye's gun that we just got, beautiful. This has a 2% chance to proc. You put that on him. Now you have another 2% chance to insta-kill. Then, let's see, where... Do you have any equips on him? Probably not. Okay, cool. I'm going to have to go back to somebody else. Over to... I'll just go to your gear. Because I'm sure you probably have it. Weapons... No, I think it's out of a shop probably. Look up on. You're aware of Last Cloudia Goldmine? Yes.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
So look up on Goldmine the Deathbringer sword. I think you just buy it out of a shop somewhere. That's a 1% chance for melee attacks to instantly kill. So you have Death God, you have that, and then you have the new gun, all compounding together to just give you lots of chances to insta-kill things. And then, on top of that, if for some reason they just don't die, you then go and you put Moonlit Murder on him as well. Because Moonlit Murder, this is actually how I beat it the first time, and I discovered it by accident. I had this on Logia, and he was just randomly insta-killing everybody, and I was like, what's going on? Well, you have a probability to instantly kill anybody that's fainted. So if you're attacking people, and they're not dying because you just RNG was not in your favor, but then they get the yellow stars above their head, this will kill them. So one way or another, you're going to chew through those floors way quicker than you otherwise would. So,
Okay.
yeah, as far as getting the ads off the board, just bring V and then just do this, and just make him a turret and just spam auto attacks, and he'll clear the fours relatively quick, or at least much quicker than charging specials is going to.
Okay, so it's like when I get to those fours, then I just need to swap out.
Yeah, just gate out, bring in V, do that. I mean, you could even just bring V anyway, because V's just a boss, and since the early stages are kind of a grind, you could probably just have him on like a S1 like insta-kill build, where he just goes in, S1s, clears, goes to the next floor, until things start getting hard, and then I switch him over to B, this kind of turret mode. And I keep him in the party up past that too, because once you get past level like 70, enemies start feeling like the God mode campaign, where they just get really, really damage spongy. So having that insta-kill still feels really nice on the higher levels of tower. So I like just leaving him in for the insta-kill. But that's up to you. Another thing that could come in handy, you might not even need to use him, is I took this for granted at first until I accidentally took him into a particular thing. One of his actual traits, which you don't actually have yet. Hold on one sec. I believe this is Hawkeye's support. Roy has... Where is this crap? Flames of Vengeance, this stuff. Where is Hawkeye's support? I'm blind. I'm blind.
Cover. Yeah, it's upper right.
Upper right.
Yeah, upper right.
Oh, there it is. Beautiful. So they have a low chance to deal extra fire damage. Cool. Ultra low chance to insta-kill enemies. So it's probably like 1 or 2%. But if you're just spamming his S3, which hits the entire board and has a lot of hits, this can just wipe out all the enemies. So this is probably... in my experience, actually quicker than doing all of the insta-kill stuff on V. So if you're just wanting to run him, you can just do this, spam abilities, and things will probably just die. And then you also have the luxury that he just does stupid amounts of damage, so once you get to the boss wave, you can just nuke the boss too.
Okay.
So yeah, Roy could help you with those floors quite a lot.
Good. I mean,
So-
I'm still leveling him right now.
Yeah.
I think another weakness for me is, well, I try my best to do IGC3 as best as possible, but
Yeah.
I guess leveling up units that I just get to 100 as quickly as possible is kind of slow for me. But
Cool.
the last time that I ran the tower that was up, my team was Kyle, Ray, Balin, and Theria. So I
Okay.
could potentially swap out Balin for, maybe Roy or like
Yeah.
a long range unit. So.
Sure. Sounds pretty reasonable. I mean, there's a lot of combinations you can use that would work just fine. So, I mean, Gen might actually be worth bringing. Gen possibly might even be better than Theria in some of the fights, just because his debuffs are like some of the best in the game. So he could help to make your damage much higher while letting you survive. Honestly, if you end up getting him built decently, which honestly is as long as you get his ability board unlocked, he doesn't even have to be 5-star. He's stupid good anyway. You could probably just bring him, Theria, and Gen, and like just run through everything, and then you could have Kyle as like a backup for just like HP to just make sure that people are surviving, and then when you need debuffs, you can throw on debuffs. Theria, make sure nobody dies. That'd probably work pretty well. That's usually what I do, is I just run Gen, Theria, and then the latest 2 units that I got for fun, just to see how they play going through tower.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So usually it only takes like one good DPS unit, for the most part. Like if they're built like to the max and like doing super well, and then either being neutral damage or having Trishula, you can usually just chew through stuff pretty well. Especially because Gen also has Glass Record, so you can use Glass Record if you're not using Winry's Apple Pie. So, yeah. Um, all right, what else was I gonna say? Because I am brain farting. So we were just talking about tower, getting through tower. I'm totally confident that your team should be able to get through tower. Unfortunately, it's not up for a little while. Otherwise, I would actually
Yeah.
help you go in and try to like get some things set up. But we can't even look at it right now.
Yeah, it's just
But
every time tower comes up, I've been slowly but surely trying to get past, certain points, because getting the 40
yeah,
to 50 range
mm-hmm.
is probably further than I did before,
Yeah,
when it came back the last time, because I felt like my unit pool, or I had the unit pool, but I didn't have the units built properly,
yeah,
because again, trying to, when you get a unit, it's like, great, now I gotta level that unit up, and I'm just, IGC spamming as best as possible, so it just kind of takes some time
yeah, for
for a
sure.
unit to get to 100 as best as possible. So,
Yeah.
um,
Well, and like I said, I think the biggest thing is if you can get them up to at least like 60 plus, and then just have their ability board filled out, and at least like somewhere in the 50 to 80 SC range, they're probably doing pretty good. I mean, obviously, the higher up you can get them, the better, just because the main thing you get from getting your levels up more than that is just the HP, so that you can just kind of take some meteor hits. But stat-wise and the damage they're going to deal is not going to be much different between like 60 to 100. So just making sure that they're up high enough to be able to do stuff is the biggest thing.
okay.
So yeah, hopefully you'll be able to get tower. Unfortunately, it just went away with the Full Metal Alchemist, so I'm guessing. I mean, it might come back with swimsuit, but I kind of doubt it. It might be whatever the next update is after summer event. But
Right, that's good to know, because again, I was trying to get past that, and I couldn't understand what was going on. I probably should have paid attention to the units or paid attention to my enemies as far as like, what was happening. But I was like, I just had
yeah,
to wait for the special to come up, and I'd run out of time. So.
yeah. Well, it's tough, man. There, like it's not necessarily an easy thing. So, I would say at the end of all the physical immune stuff, you are going to face probably a little bit of a hurdle in Rommel. You fight Rommel, and he is pretty resistant to physical attacks, and he also just has this mechanic where every, like, I don't know, 5 seconds or something, he does a super that basically just one-shots somebody on your team. So it's really annoying. So you need to try to like burst him down or have some free revives available, things like that. He is super vulnerable to ice. So if you can have somebody that can do high ice damage, maybe even ice critical damage, and then give them Icy Guardian to just get extra pursuit attacks that then also take his ice weakness into play, that could be a way to get through that. On your account, I think Zekis is probably your only good ice unit. Zekis is fine, or not Zekis, Celios, which I think you have, but I wouldn't bother building him. He's just kind of outscaled a bit.
Right.
But he's the person that I used to beat it all before. So yeah, you could potentially just try your best to abuse something like Cold Heart. Oh, it looks like this has a low chance to insta-kill too. So in addition to Roy, he might be able to clear some of the things, but he can't spam skills like Roy can. So, but yeah, so for that fight, maybe seeing if you can get like skill stock 2 on him, and then have your supports either spam Glass Record or Winry's Apple Pie to keep giving those back, and just let him keep hitting with Cold Heart with maybe some critical stuff to raise his critical chance and Icy Guardian, and that he'll probably be your key to taking down that boss, I think. So even if you got to swap him in just for that fight, if you struggle with the fight, then yeah, could be worthwhile.
Okay.
So, and then also magic. I think that because he is resistant to physical, it might also be worth to just unlock dude's ability board and then go get that absolute zero skill, and maybe just spamming that magic might be enough. Like, you might not even need to build a crazy physical build and do Icy Guardian. Maybe just getting this and then making a high magic damage build. That might just be enough for Zekis to just do enough damage. So you have to play with it, but you got kind of 2 routes, and I think Zekis is your key to that floor once you get to it, if it feels like a roadblock.
That's good to know.
Yeah. So, okay, cool. Are there any other particular areas you are struggling in? other than you said tower and then going to complete some other bosses to go get the UR from story.
Outside of that, no. I mean, it's just
Okay.
again, I guess one of the last things is literally just understanding or just making sure that anything in my account is lacking or anything I should be looking out for.
Sure.
Because again, normally I kind of rely on you or any other content creators when it comes down to should I pull or should I be doing this, but at the same time, it's kind of like what is your account? What should your account have? What is your account missing?
Mm-hmm.
Or anything of that nature. So.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, since just before I move away from arcs, one of the last things here that I will recommend is just talking about multipliers. Weak point boost is one of the best in general. It only costs 7 and it gives plus 30. It only applies if they are weak to your element, but like I said, you want to be trying when you have a versatile account or a versatile roster of units like you do to try to bring elemental DPS that match their weaknesses, at which case you should have weak point boost on everybody that can abuse that. So
Oh, okay. Okay.
and that's also huge with like the debuffs. So having Gen is really fortunate because he has extremely bad chemical, which is the biggest elemental debuff in the game. It's just a better version of weak, which I said you can run on a solo unit like Ray or Roy or something. But if you bring Gen to the fight, you can give him minus 35 on that, and then Earth Circle is a minus 20. So then you're up to 55. And then if you're using like Roy, for instance, his S3, which is his main damaging skill, also has a chance to put a fire resist debuff on them, knocking them down by another 20. So I think you can drop people by like 65 or 75% fire resist total. And that's while having, just a flat 35 across the board. So weak point boost is absolutely worth abusing. So teach it to all your elemental DPS units so that when you need it, you can toggle it on. Usually, if I'm on an elemental DPS for a particular fight, Slayers and weak point boost are just automatic. After that, I try to fill in whatever I can best. If my sustain's good enough, I'll do Berserker. I'll get all my weapon high boosts, things like that. Usually trying to split up the weapons that you're using, so like maybe a sword and a hammer, so you can get hammer and sword high boost is usually a good idea instead of just double swords, so that you can kind of double dip into those multipliers. So it's in general, solid way to do things. Rest of the stuff I don't think really matters too incredibly much. Have you beaten any of the end game bosses? Like, have you gone through the high speed mode, like Lambda Fight or Pablo? Have you beaten a bunch of those and you're just missing some of the newer ones?
I'm gonna say no. I haven't done those either.
Okay.
I'm probably capable of doing them, but I just
Yeah.
haven't gone to do it yet.
Okay, cool. One arc that I'll say I like and is kind of a sleeper, I don't hear people talk about too much, is March of the Saints is super duper good. Just because of its arc skill. So it restores MP and HP to people. When this is maxed out at level 10, it gives you 100 MP, and it's basically a full heal to your entire party. So you can run this on like Theria or something. And so if you have any SSR Stardust, it's not too bad to just jack this up to level 10. The reason this is really, really nice is if you're in a situation where your entire team is CC'd by some big boss and you're taking damage, like in Tower, sometimes that can happen where they'll have an attack that just lasts like 5-10 seconds, and your supports can't do anything. They can't do God Heal, they can't do anything because they're just knocked up. Well, you can still access your magic menu and skills can be used regardless of the state of your ally. So if you're in taking a big hit and everybody gets weak and the first person is about to die, you can just pause in the magic menu, hit the skill, and full heal everybody, and probably just survive what otherwise might have been a party wipe. So,
Okay.
yeah. So good in general to have. At level 1, it's still really solid, but I think that there's not a lot of other places to use SSR Stardust anyway, so might be worth doing, just something to consider. It costs 9 of these 11 to get it to level 10, because it's 1-to-1 all the way up.
Okay. Good.
So, yeah. I'm not saying just automatically do it. You probably have other places to burn it anyway. But
Yeah.
if you end up liking that as a tool, something to consider. All right, I'm going to back out of here then. Let's see. Things that I could recommend. How are your Conquer slots? You have all these? You do. Okay, cool. You're a gamer. You know what you're doing. Beautiful. Let's see here. Friend slots? You had 100 friend slots? Yeah, you are? Cool. We gaming. Collect your shit, because why not? How are your tours?
Still working on it.
All right, but you are
I think
actively progressing.
I'm actively progressing. The one that I'm on is it requires like a sniper at a certain level, and I feel like V was the only one. So all my other
Okay.
I'm actively progressing, so it's
Okay.
taking a little
All right. Yeah, I would definitely focus on trying to at least get a run in a day if you can. Like for whatever your daily login is, try to get it.
bit.
I would absolutely spend this to get the extra slots to speed this up significantly. The main reason being before, tours were kind of pointless. They were sort of a novelty that endgame players could just say they did
Yeah.
for flavor's sake, and it was just like, okay, whatever. Now, with the latest two tours being released, the final two tours have major yields from completing them. So it's basically, at worst, a free times 18 skill dungeon, because it gives 18 AP on a basic success. I think it's like 27 AP on a grand success. So you can train people's skills very easy and cheaply there, in addition to whatever the training dungeons are for the day. So that's huge. That's 15 units getting a times 18 minimum every day for whatever arcs you want. In addition, it gives anywhere from like 28,000 to 53,000 XP, I think. So just generally leveling units towards 100 helps there. And then drops, you basically get like a row and one extra of rewards for a basic success, and you get like 4 rows of stuff for a grand success. And each of these individual things can give you like 1 to 5 of the basic and advanced enhancement stones for the Godforge alchemy, or for alchemy in general. Which there's not a lot of sources for those stones. Tours is really it, and you get a lot of them from there. And then also you can get the 5-star enhancement materials, which is also used for alchemy, like the Dragon Eyes and the Spectral Tears and all that sort of shit. Every time you get one of those to proc, you get 5 of them per slot. Like, it is massive. So getting through tours, I would say focus on that. Do you feel like you at least understand the tour system in general? I think I went through it with somebody on the last video like this that I did, but do you generally know how it functions?
Yes, so I know
Cool.
it has a specific thing that it's telling you that you need to get like greatly success on and something of that nature. So it's kind of like I have to wait on that if I get like a great success on the top one.
Yeah.
Sniper. So
All right. And you generally know about, like, trying to have biggest numbers to raise your great success chance, how that system all works?
yeah, so I'm trying to make sure that like I at least have like units with like +2, or
Yeah.
I guess maybe I should be putting arcs on them as far as like in order to enhance that.
I mean,
success rate.
it just depends. So this is the success. So in here, this magnifying glass, this shows you your suitability. All of these gives you the pluses. So any of these you can meet will do it for you. So for instance, there's a R or an SR arc that has hammer equip on it. If they can equip hammers, they get an automatic +1. So Dante can do that. If I turn on suitability, they can equip hammers. He can't. So if you just go teach him hammer equip, that's an instant +1.
Okay.
You just put it on. If you give, you can go in and give Dante, for instance, filter for curse, holy water. This gives you a plus like 4 or 5 to curse. So then he will have, right? That does actually do it, right? Yeah, curse nil. Oh, it's blind. That's why I'm an idiot. So you can come in here and you can say, all right, let's filter instead for blind. Cool. He can have cursed ring, and he can have lamp of justice. Cool. Now he has blind nil, and he gets a +1 for that. You can, if you have something that gives like mimicry sniper or mimicry beast, you can just equip that for 2 SC, and then you'll get it. Maybe you have gear that can bump up lightning resist. So if you have a unit that's at like maybe 20 or 25 lightning resist, maybe you can just equip something quick and then push them over and then give them an extra plus. So you find units that at base are up there, which you have done with having like basic 2s on these, and then just see if anybody's close on hitting other ones. And so it's worthwhile if you don't know, like if maybe a skill dungeon's up and you don't really have anything to teach people because you've just taught everybody everything you know that they want, just go teach mimicries to people. Like, worst case, just quick teach mimicries to people, because maybe the next one you'll want to be a sorcerer type. Okay, well then if you have somebody who's a natural 2 or a 3, but they're not sorcerers, you can just go toggle on Mimicry Sorcerer, maybe give them Curse Nil, whatever they're asking for, maybe bump up Ice Resist. So that's like, Tours is one of the only places where mimicries really can come in handy, because, yeah, I don't think Sniper and Beast are actually in the game. Beast might be, actually. That might be on the arc that came with Medine. I don't remember for sure, but I digress.
Somewhere, but literally, yeah. I can take a unit that what they're asking for, like a soldier, and teach them like mimicry sniper, and then that actually helps out. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So as many of these nodes, this is what matters right here. Everything in suitability, all of these are potential +1s, and this is the only way to get them. And sometimes it will be like use an arc that's at least level 3, or something, or your unit has to be at least level 60 that's equipped. So yeah, just pay attention to this and then try to hit as many as you can, and then this can toggle to show what requirements they're currently meeting, so that you can kind of gauge how easily you can go in and actually do it. And then obviously try to have this requirement met within each of the teams. So you have V in this one, so it's at least 1. Totally start the tour. Great. And down in here, nobody can complete this one yet. So come in here, see if you got any other snipers. I'm guessing you got Fall. Yeah, you got plenty of snipers, and now you got Roy too. So instead, toss her in there. Cool, and she's 1 higher than Theria. And just try your best to go through, bump these up, get this rolling. Because the sooner you can get over here, this one is very good too. This is probably 5 times better than this. This is probably twice as good as this. So, yeah. These last 2 are significantly better than everything that comes before it. So these are the reasons to do tours, and I absolutely think it's worth your time at where you are in the game to get up here, because it will make it's almost essential to do much in the Godforge stuff, because you will be running out of resources, especially stones at some point, and there's just not places to get stones outside of tours. Every once in a while they'll do those the event dungeon where you can go and grind them, run it 1 to 3 times a day, whatever it is, but you know those don't happen very often. So tours is a big place that you can go and get that done. And then you already said, you know, you should be doing some arena stuff. I absolutely think you should try getting as high as you can. I don't know how long is left in the current season, but maybe next season try to see how high you can climb. Rewards are based on the highest progress you've ever gotten in any season. So if you absolutely hate arena, I think it's totally worth to try to get into it at least a little bit, and then maybe just have 1 season goal to be to break into the Super League. So get all the way up through like Gold 1. You have to get a certain amount of overall like arena medals, I think, and then you can kind of promote yourself into Super. Once you're into Super, you can't like go down more. So when the season reset happens, you start in Super no matter what. You're just permanently in that kind of, I don't know, bracket or mode, you could call it. And there's also rewards that are associated with all of the different levels up that you can get. And then after that, just try to do the best you can playing through, and just try to have 1 season where you focus on seeing if you can try to get up into like Super Gold 1, which I think with the team you have, you probably have enough tools that you could totally do it. It's just a matter of spending enough time. And that's really the big thing, is it takes a lot of time to climb through arena. So I don't think it's that difficult to do if you know how to at least kind of build a team, which I could help with maybe in the future once you get to that point. Okay. But yeah, it just takes a hell of a long time to grind up that far. But if you can manage to get up to Super Gold 1 time, then for the rest of your account's eternity, you log in, get 2 wins in arena, and you get 20 Mother Souls every day. It's pretty big. So
yeah, that's huge.
And you just never need to focus on it again. You just log in, daily ritual, get 2 arena wins, cash out, and go do the fun things that you want to do. So even people that don't like arena, it's worth trying to get as high as you can, because the highest mark you can get, it's free Mother Souls. And then also regular souls, but which right now is actually pretty good for you, because you're still leveling up some arcs and doing things. Maybe by the time you get up there, you'll be done leveling up a bunch of arcs, and maybe souls won't matter as much, but they still kind of do, because Godforge needs them at the higher levels. So
right.
Yeah, souls in general, pretty good. So Mother Souls though, big deal. All right. Yeah, I think that's about all that I got. Can you think of any other questions or maybe units you wanted to look at, or maybe even mechanics that you don't know how they work, or I don't know, whatever you can think of.
Honestly, no. At the particular moment, I think you've answered like pretty much everything that I was kind of looking for, and you also gave some good insight on some things I should be looking at and being able to build and stuff like that. So
Beautiful.
yeah, this has been very helpful.
Awesome, man. Well, I wish you the best then, and feel free to hit up me and anybody else in the Discord. I don't know what all socials and stuff that you're on, but we got lots of cool people out there in the community in general. So, always people to help answer questions. So, if anything comes up, feel free.
Absolutely, I appreciate that.
Absolutely, man. All right, you have a good one. Till next
You too.
time.
Take care.